the, the radical power of vulnerability, redefining success for Black professionals. I want to start today by acknowledging someone whose work has fundamentally transformed how we think about healing, success, and leadership in Black communities. Juli Ray Joy is more than just a thought leader or coach. She is a revolutionary visionary whose insights have shattered conventional wisdom about what it means to thrive as a Black professional. Through her groundbreaking work, Julie has created pathways for thousands to embrace their full humanity, not despite the systems designed to diminish them, but as a direct challenge to those very systems. When we talk about success, especially for Black professionals and entrepreneurs, what images come to mind? The relentless hustler who never stops grinding, the unshakable leader who powers through adversity, the stoic achiever who keeps emotions tightly controlled. These are the archetypes we've been taught to emulate, to celebrate, to become. But what if I told you that true transformation, both personal and professional, might require something entirely different? Something that feels almost counterintuitive in a world that prizes strength above all else. I recently had the profound privilege of interviewing Julie Ray Joy, and her insights have completely reframed how I understand success, healing, and leadership within Black communities. Julie's work with Black professionals has revealed something revolutionary, that healing and success often require intentionally embracing vulnerability, not just resilience. This idea challenges everything we've been taught, everything. Many of us have internalized the message that we must be strong at all costs. That showing emotion equals showing weakness. That vulnerability is something to overcome, not something to embrace. But Julie Ray Joy's perspective turns this conventional wisdom on its head. True growth, she suggests, comes from allowing ourselves to feel, process, and express our emotions, even the uncomfortable ones. This shift from surviving to thriving means making space for joy, rest, and softness as much as ambition and hustle. Let that sink in for a moment. What if the very thing we've been taught to avoid, vulnerability, is actually the doorway to our greatest power? This isn't just philosophical musing. The evidence is compelling and the implications are profound, especially for Black professionals navigating systems that weren't designed with their well being in mind. Through my conversation with Julie, three key insights emerged that I believe can transform how we approach both personal healing and professional success. First, emotional authenticity is a strength, not a weakness. Allowing yourself to experience your full range of emotions, including sadness, anger, or uncertainty, can lead to deeper self awareness and stronger leadership. Second, your story matters, no matter your background or what challenges you faced. From foster care or family struggles to public advocacy, your lived experiences can become a source of power and inspiration for others. And third, community uplifts transformation. Building networks rooted in shared identity provides crucial support systems that help sustain both personal well being and professional impact. These insights might sound simple, but they represent a radical departure from how many of us have been conditioned to think about success and healing. They invite us to consider that perhaps the path forward isn't about becoming harder, tougher, or more impenetrable. Perhaps it's about becoming more human, more connected, more authentic. Let me share some powerful examples of what this looks like in practice. Consider the story of Black Joy Oregon, an organization founded by activists in Portland. In a city grappling with deep rooted systemic racism, these leaders faced enormous challenges: navigating hostile civic institutions, sustaining momentum after national attention faded, and supporting community mental health amid ongoing trauma. Their approach wasn't to simply push harder or fight louder. Instead, they prioritized collective care practices, including community therapy sessions. They partnered with local businesses for resource sharing. They emphasized storytelling through media appearances, creating space for authentic emotional expression. The results speak volumes. Black Joy Oregon expanded beyond protests into year round programming. They inspired similar initiatives nationwide centered on joy based activism rather than only resistance. They secured grants, built sustainable volunteer networks, and served hundreds monthly. But perhaps most importantly, they shifted narratives around what empowerment looks like in marginalized communities, from survival mode toward thriving via collective celebration. What makes this story particularly powerful is the founders' backgrounds. Their experiences with both institutional neglect, including foster care, and frontline activism, shaped their focus on holistic healing, not just political change, for Black Oregonians. This is what Julie Ray Joy means when she talks about vulnerability as a pathway to transformation. These leaders didn't succeed despite their willingness to acknowledge pain, trauma, and emotional needs. They succeeded because of it. Another powerful example comes from Dr. Joy Harden Bradford, founder of Therapy for Black Girls. As the licensed psychologist, Dr. Bradford recognized a critical gap: the lack of culturally competent mental health resources tailored specifically for Black women professionals navigating workplace stressors. The challenges were significant: stigma around mental health within professional circles, lack of accessible therapists who understand the intersectional identities unique to Black women leaders and entrepreneurs. Dr. Bradford's solution wasn't to minimize these challenges or suggest that Black women simply needed to be stronger. Instead, she created an online therapist directory by and for women of color and launched a podcast featuring stories and tips about emotional wellness relevant to high achieving listeners. The impact has been extraordinary: over 5 million podcast downloads globally, thousands connected with therapists matching their cultural needs each month, national media features, and partnerships with tech companies and universities seeking inclusive wellness solutions. Dr. Bradford's work was informed by her own journey as an ambitious woman balancing career advancement with personal healing and witnessing these same needs across her client base. By creating space for emotional authenticity, she helped normalize discussions about therapy and self care among ambitious young professionals while increasing access nationwide. A third example that beautifully illustrates Julie Ray Joy's insights is the Honey Pot Company, founded by B. Dixon, a former pharmacy technician turned entrepreneur. Dixon creates plant based feminine hygiene products while centering holistic well being narratives, especially relevant for women entrepreneurs of color. Dixon faced skepticism from investors due to both racial and gender bias, plus industry stigma around open conversations about women's bodies and emotions. Rather than downplaying these challenges or presenting a sanitized version of entrepreneurship, Dixon leveraged storytelling via social media and videos showing her authentic founder journey, including setbacks and anxieties, to connect deeply with customers and investors. The results: national retail distribution in Target, Walmart and CVS, multi-million dollar sales growth driven largely by brand loyalty among consumers identifying strongly with the company mission. Recognition as one of Inc.'s fastest growing private companies and as a Forbes Next 1000 entrepreneur. Dixon credits her willingness to be seen, emotionally vulnerable yet confident, as a key differentiator versus legacy brands. Through her approach, she redefined what it means not just to build wealth, but also well being and cultural pride through entrepreneurship rooted in authenticity. These stories reveal something profound about the relationship between vulnerability, healing, and success. They suggest that the strongest leaders aren't those who never show weakness, they're those who have the courage to acknowledge their humanity and create space for others to do the same. This perspective is especially revolutionary for Black professionals who have been conditioned to believe that vulnerability is a luxury they cannot afford. In systems designed to exclude or marginalize, the pressure to appear invulnerable can feel like a survival strategy. But as Julie Ray Joy's insights in these examples demonstrate, there's immense power in challenging this narrative. When we allow ourselves to be seen fully, authentically, with all our strengths and struggles, we not only heal ourselves, but create pathways for others to do the same. This isn't about abandoning resilience or strength, it's about expanding our definition of what strength looks like. It's about recognizing that sometimes the most powerful thing we can do is admit that we're tired, that we're hurting, that we need support. It's about understanding that the journey from surviving to thriving requires more than just working harder or pushing through. It requires creating space for joy, for rest, for emotional honesty. It requires community. It requires vulnerability. So I challenge you today, what would happen if you embraced vulnerability not as weakness, but as your greatest source of power? What might change in your leadership, your relationships, your impact on the world if you allowed yourself to be fully seen? I invite you to take one radical step this week. Share something you've been hiding, a struggle, a fear, a need with someone you trust. Notice what happens when you stop performing strength and start practicing authenticity. Because in a world that tells Black professionals they must be exceptional just to belong, that they must be strong just to survive, that they must be perfect just to be seen. Vulnerability isn't just healing, it's revolutionary. The armor we've built to protect ourselves may have helped us survive, but it's vulnerability that will help us thrive. It's vulnerability that will transform not just our own lives, but our communities, our organizations, our world. The time has come to redefine strength, to embrace the power of being fully, authentically human, to recognize that our greatest impact comes not from hiding our struggles, but from sharing them. And in doing so, creating space for others to do the same. This is not just about personal healing. This is about collective liberation. This is about creating a world where Black professionals don't have to choose between success and wholeness, where they can achieve precisely because they are allowed to be fully human. The revolution begins with vulnerability. The revolution begins with you. The revolution begins today.